Did you ever think when you started out you would be where you are now? Was there a clear roadmap to where you are now?
I wouldn't say the clear map, but I always had an ambition. I always evaluate my work and my progress. Once and when I first started, if I could only sell one ticket a day, and then when I achieve that, I say, okay, what do I do next? What if I want to be number one? And then I say, okay, now I'm number one. What do I do? Okay, I want to control 25% of the market. So I always try to achieve and try to evaluate and see where I could be in a few years to come. I don't want to be comfortable achieving something and then sort of get stagnant. But I want to keep on progressing. Yeah.
And in this journey of success, you would have really learned what are some key lessons to succeeding. If I was to ask you, what are some of the key things that lead to succeeding in Ethiopia, what would you say they are?
I think working really closely and leading your workers with love, having a good team. And when you have a good team and when the team really value the relationship they have with you, they will die for you. They will do everything and anything to see you progress. So I think having a good team in the office, especially in our service industry, is very good. Yeah, very important.
I read this amazing book called From Good to Great. And one of the big pieces of advice it says on that to succeeding, number one, was having the right people on the bus. So it doesn't matter if you change direction, if you have the right people on the bus, then that change of direction becomes easy. And that really just validates what you're saying, of having the right people, regardless of the challenging context that you're in, makes a huge difference. So looking forwards into the future, you're optimistic about Ethiopia's growth and what's going on here. How do you see the country and how it's moving forward?
Yes, there is a big potential in Ethiopia. There is really a lot of untouched things to do in Ethiopia. That's one of the reasons my son returned from US and really plugged into the business. There's so much opportunities which we have to explore, and with the number of population we have, there's so many things that we are importing instead of producing here. There's so many things, production things we can get into. There is a lot of untouched territories we can get into. Yes.
And when you see that, so one is, I guess, import substitution to replace. Say, for instance, someone here is like, okay, I have a blank canvas. I want to start a business. I want to do something. Or someone watching online from abroad, maybe a diaspora or something, says, I want to return back to Ethiopia and really contribute. From your experience, from what you've seen, what do you really think is a great piece of advice for them?
I think for a lot of people, I feel they should listen to their heart and they should know what their passion is, and look at the opportunities and just start small and keep at it and keep hammering, keep pushing to grow the idea they have. It cannot be done just in a short time, but slowly they can grow what the desires of their heart. And even if there are struggles and problems and issues to work here, they should constantly pushing to grow it, because that's where the opportunities are. Staying at what they have started, and if they continue with it, I think they will get dividend in the end. Yeah.
That's amazing. And then as for actual specific sectors to look at or I'm sure you tell people to stay away from travel and tours. That's your space. But as for someone wanting to set up and they're looking at what sector should I go into in Ethiopia, what would you say to them?
I would say production. I would say there are a lot of things to produce and to really be creative on. And yeah, there is so much resources, so much raw materials, so much availability here, which we are not processing and coming up with finished goods. So if we could process things and come up with a finished product, there is so much demand, and things are expensive because most of them are imported. And if we could produce them here with all the raw materials available here, there is so much we can do. Yeah.
The last interview we had was with Brooks Washington, who had set up a glass manufacturing facility here in Ethiopia and raised millions of dollars to make that possible. But it was really clear that the government's agenda, the country's agenda is manufacturing and production, and again, really verifies what Kilfe is saying. And so there's huge opportunities in various sectors to actually bring in country. And so I think last interview was a great testimony of actually there's a huge opportunity in that space. So in a moment, we're going to open the floor up to questions directed at Kilfe. So keep thinking about that as we move forwards. But I have a few more questions for you, Kilfe. So you mentioned that there's a number of different things that you're looking at now. You said we are now thinking of investing in this. We're doing cookie. When you say we, you don't mean the travel agency is investing in this stuff. Well, maybe define what you mean by we.
Well, we as a travel agency, or as individual with other partners, other friends who have been in business and who have made some money, we contribute to set up, say, microfinance for people to be doing business as well. We want to finance young people or people who has business ideas to take a loan and then do their business. So these are friends. With the cookies or whatever is with other foreigners as well as local partners. We are partnering to run a cookie factory. Other things are with different partners. So we as a family as well as we as friends, we are investing in.
That's a really, really interesting thing. Even myself being in such an early stage in a partnership, setting up a business, the value of partnership really comes to the surface. I'd love to hear a little bit about when it comes to partnership and setting up businesses, how key actually having strong partners is.
Well, I like to partner with people who I know and I trust and who could really communicate easily with. I mean, who I trust have the same vision, the same idea, and the same ambition. If one is slow and the other one is fast, and if one is not communicating, the other one is hard to get the idea from. It's usually difficult. So I choose who I partner with, and together we invest. So I think you need to choose who you partner with.
Yeah. So you mentioned this microfinance institution that you guys have set up. The idea is to invest in startups and other things that, and then you also mentioned your children study abroad. You've told them all to come back, or is it their choice to come back? Or tell me a little bit about your view on studying abroad.
Our children chose themselves to come back. They worked a little bit and when they get the chance abroad, but they saw more opportunity and more flexibility and less competition here. So we also encourage them to come back and be somebody here. And usually working abroad, US or other places, you're nobody. The competition is so hard and fierce. So we do encourage them, but they chose to come themselves. Yeah.
That's good. So we have time to open the floor to some questions. I have my own questions, but in the interest of time, I want to make sure that we have time to hear your questions too. So if you have a question, please just put your hand up, and then we'll open that up and answer it.
Just repeat the questions.
Okay, I'll repeat the questions. Yeah.
Okay, so people like even now, the entrepreneurial culture is not here. So even before they start, people overcome the challenges and there's no support. And I can imagine like 20 years ago, it's even more challenging than that. So how did you get the motivation to actually want to have your own business in the face of like overcoming, like how do you overcome the challenges to start with your own business?
So for the sake of the sound, I'll repeat the question. So getting support now to starting a business is challenging enough, let alone all the way back then to get the support and to stay motivated. So Kilfe, how did you get motivated? What was your motivation, and how did you gain that support to get started?
For me at that time, the motivation came from friends, and a lot of our friends who were challenging and questioning to go into business. We were discussing why not, and what if we get into, what we run, what kind of problems we run into. But if we get into it, then we can support people, we can support ourselves, we can do different things and influence the nation. So we challenged each other, we supported each other to come up with the business ideas, as well as there were other friends who were saying, go on with it. This is a good idea. So friends were really very supportive. Yeah.
So get a good group of friends around you if you
Yes.
want to do well at the startup stage. Yes.
So related to the friends that we need to have around, you emphasize more on teamwork. So when choosing your team, what do you look for primarily?
So to repeat the question, team is a key part of succeeding. What would you say is key to finding the right team?
I think open dialogue, open discussion, and open challenge with friends. And as you discuss ideas, if you come with the same wave, the same principles, the same vision, I think you pick which ones are more genuine friends that could take you a long way. So that's how we pick, and most of us grew up together. So most of us, when we get successful in things, and we say, okay, now we're successful for ourselves, where do we go next? This should not end in ourselves. We should continue for generations. So we said, all right, let's do the next stage. So let's put a few of our resources together, and then let's support others. So that's how we started this microfinance. Yeah.
That's great. At the back there, Mr. Tamrat.
Where do you see your business after 5 years in quantitative terms?
In quantitative terms.
So where do you see your business in 5 years in quantitative terms?
Are you asking me to reveal my secrets? No, I've been challenging myself. The last few years, okay, we've been number one, then what? So I evaluated how much market do we control, and it's around 15%. And then we say, okay, let's go into 25%, or let's expand into other countries. So we are challenging ourselves. Can we go? So we're thinking of Norway and a few US and a few, even China. We have signed an agreement. So we're trying to expand into other countries to do our markets and our services. So that way we will have more influence in the market.